Hey everyone, Sleepy Reader here. I'm hiding in my basement, trying to avoid the 100-degree heat wave that is lurking outside and above me. Um, we do have a room air conditioner or two in our house, but it's really not enough to take the edge off. So the basement's the most comfortable place. And I've got a few minutes free, so I thought I'd attempt a comic book thoughts. Just go through a bunch of comics, each one pretty quickly, I think. Um, Superman the coming of the Supermen, written and drawn by Neil Adams. I just continue to enjoy this. It continues to be what you would call a bad comic. For me, it's bad in ways that I find very entertaining. I love this double-page spread here. I think I put it up, part of it up on Twitter, where Superman is saying, "Close your eyes, Lois. This is too much for a grown reporter to watch." It just has this say anything off the top, over the topness that I kind of enjoy it. I mean, if I didn't understand that this was by a now legendary superstar artist who's being given free rein to just sort of go crazy, I might say, "What the heck? Comics are horrible." You know, what if this was the only comic book I picked up this year? I'm sure that happens randomly. Old comic book fans go into a store, pick something. Oh, look, it's Neil Adams. He's doing Superman. Let's buy it, and then say, "Oh yeah, comics suck now." But read in a different way, this is kind of wonderful. You know, maybe for someone else, Scooby Apocalypse would be that kind of thing. To me, it didn't help that I read the first 3 pages with my daughter, and she was so bored she just kind of walked away. I guess the basic concepts are by Jim Lee, but I don't know, who to blame for what. It's written by J.M. DeMatteis and art by Howard Porter. I loved their very recent work on Justice League 3000 and 3001. This looks similar when you look at it, but maybe because I've also, with my daughter, seen a lot of direct-to-video Scooby-Doo movies, which are actually pretty good for Scooby-Doo. But these characters, other than their vague connection to Scooby-Doo characters, don't seem like Scooby-Doo characters. Velma's kind of a scientist who's part of an evil cabal, but she kind of regrets it. Kind of like some of the characters in Justice League 3000. And then Shaggy is kind of a hipster, not very good dog trainer, I guess. Scooby is this enhanced dog, mentally enhanced dog. The Fred and Daphne, other than sort of the way they look, these are just not like an interesting play on the original characters or a good use of those characters. It seems to just have missed the mark just in a terribly wrong way. And then what you get is a apocalyptic science fiction story that maybe is okay to read if you weren't looking for anything to do with Scooby-Doo and Shaggy. Another one that was just okay for me was the most recent Doctor Strange Last Days of Magic, Part 3, it says. Is this counting the separate miniseries that they do? The art, as always, looks amazing when I leaf through, and then when I try to follow the story, there's always stuff in the artwork that I can't quite follow what's going on. So, like here again, I'm flipping through it now, and this is amazingly cool art. But when I'm actually reading the story, it's not helping me well track the story. And I heard, I think on Long Box Reviews podcast with one of his guests, it pointed out that this is kind of the same plot as the Jason Aaron did in Thor with the God Killer, and now it's the Magic Killers. And I can't stop thinking about that. And on top of that, for whatever reason, the way Aaron has set everything up, and the way it's drawn and everything looking weird and odd. I have no real sense of us and them, no sense of science versus magic, even though I'm told it's science versus magic. Even though, things are dire and our magic heroes have lost everything, I have no real sense of loss. I'm just not buying into this the way I should for whatever reason. It could be my own fault or whatever. I get this through a subscription, so I think I still have like 5 more issues to go. But I don't think, even though there's so many elements that I should like in Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron, I don't think I'll renew that subscription. Another subscription book, which maybe I won't renew, is the Charles Soule Daredevil run. This is issue number 7. I think it's the second issue, not drawn by Ron Garney, and I definitely feel the loss. But also somehow in this second arc, I've stopped caring about things. This bringing back of Elektra, I don't know, the story doesn't grab me. It just feels like it's going through the paces. Okay, we're bringing back Elektra again. We're going to have another little mystery of what's going on. What'll be our twist this time? Our twist this time is Elektra's looking for her daughter. Who is the father of her daughter? Is it Matt Murdock? We don't know. That should be compelling somehow. I'm just not compelled. Maybe there's something wrong with me that I'm not getting into things right now. That's probably the heat wave talking right at the moment, because I was definitely totally into my comics last week. And I think, for whatever reason, the Charles Soule Daredevil feels, in this second arc, both issues felt like it's on a downward, just losing my interest somewhat. I actually loved issue 2 of Divinity 2, this premium Valiant comic. I'm not sure what comics they decide to put, with these really nice covers and this kind of DVD extras at the back and stuff. But I lap them up when they do. And this is written by Matt Kindt, and it's a follow-up, obviously, of the original Divinity comic. And that original Divinity comic did feel a little incomplete, and so it's really satisfying to come back to that storyline and explore it some more. And this new kind of hardcore Soviet cosmonaut who's become another divinity is really cool. And this issue had a incredibly cool battle between the two divinities, with the apparent destruction of the original divinity. So anyway, awesome. If you can find these issues, this is great to read in individual issues. I'm sure it'll be good in a trade too, but these are very special, a very special package. So it's really fun to get. Okay, guys. Or not okay, guys. I've got plenty more. I think the heat has addled my brain even more than usual. So I got 3 out of the 4 of this past week's Rebirth comics. My copy of the Green Lantern actually had a slit in the cover. I'm guessing someone opened a package with a razor blade and that slit it. I could go back to the store and ask for a different copy, but I'm not going to sweat it. I thought it was cool down here in the basement, but the heat's getting to my brain anyway. So anyway, with each of the Rebirth issues, I liked them, but I wasn't wowed. I think I enjoyed the Superman one most. I know enough of all the, New 52 continuity to understand what was going on here, from my own reading, but also from hearing people talk about the Superman stuff that they've been reading. The art by Doug Mahnke really worked. And so it had a kind of emotional frisson for me. Like all of these, but this one especially, was definitely an epilogue for the New 52, and just a slight lead-in to wherever we're going in the new Superman book. You can't really tell too much of where we're going here, but it is a passing of the baton. And it makes very clear that while there's a rebirth somehow in the DC universe, it's not an erasing of the past of the New 52. The New 52 is going to be included, which I think you could kind of guess from the big rebirth Jeff Johns special that somehow we're going to put back those missing years in, but it's not a subtraction or a starting from scratch. But at the same time that I enjoyed this issue, it definitely marked the fact that this is for fans of Superman who already are deeply involved in Superman. It's not really a starting point for new readers. Maybe the next issue 1. Very clever how they have these one-shots called issue 1, and it looks like, oh, this is the new Superman issue 1. But next month, or in 2 weeks or whenever, there is Superman number 1, and there maybe will be more of a jumping on point for new readers, with any luck. And the Green Lantern connected a little bit to the New 52, bringing Simon Baz back. I don't know a lot about this kind of agoraphobic female Green Lantern. I'm not sure where she comes from. I know a lot less about the Green Lanterns. And while I thought this was a good issue, it didn't entice me to jump on the Green Lantern bandwagon, particularly. It just felt too Green Lantern-ish to me. Just a whole bunch of powers, and there are battles, and there's going to be a big battle in space, and someone bad is coming, and who's that bad person? Ooh, Atrocicus. There's something new. No. He's a fun character. The Red Lanterns are fun, but I can't get excited over it at all, even though it was a really well done issue. Batman, so Superman, the Superman Rebirth was my favorite of these 3, but the Batman was really close and had these great moments. The Mikhail Janin art felt colored too dark and grainy for my taste. I really miss FCO Placentia, the colorist on the New 52 Batman, or on Greg Capullo Batman. But this just was too browned out, maybe. I mean, looking at this page, it's a really cool page, but yeah, I don't know what to say about this. It seemed like a pretty cool Batman story. I'm not sure if Calendar Man is really going to be the big bad coming up, or he's just part of this interlude. I guess he's still at large at the end of this issue. We see him molting and getting out of his skin, so this may come closest to being the beginning of the new arc rather than just a touchstone back to the New 52. So for people who are interested in the Batman story, I do think you want to get Batman Rebirth. But probably the other rebirths you can skip. One thing I thought in reading all of these is there's talk online and sort of implied in the big fat Jeff Johns Rebirth comic that this is a return to the light, to the darkness has gone on too long and we need to be rescued from it. And none of these issues felt light. They all felt seeped with the, for lack of a better word, Alan Moore-inspired darkness that we've come to be used to in comic books for so long. I would argue it doesn't all come from Alan Moore anyway, but it seems a part and parcel of a dark DC. So I don't really get that. I guess maybe we can just ignore that claim that DC is going to go back to being light and just enjoy that DC is, focusing on re-energizing its comics, which can be good for us as readers and giving us a good price. I was thinking, because I continue to see, all these claims about how bad the New 52 was, and you can see my previous video where it's clear I thought there was a lot of good stuff there. And how their sales have tanked so badly that they had to reboot. But in the time that I've been reading the New 52 and following comics on a weekly basis again, watching Marvel reboot about 3 times during the New 52 era. So it occurs to me maybe, DC's fault is not that the New 52 was a big failure, so much as you need to reboot and reboot well. Like the Convergence thing was a mistaken reboot, that because it was too much just shaped over their need to cancel all their comics for 2 months to move to Burbank or wherever it is they are. It just seemed like DC needed, in the modern marketplace, to reboot everything more often. Then they would be like DC, right? I mean, like Marvel, right? Kind of glad they don't. Speaking of grim comics, I have been trying to catch up on Leaving Megalopolis. This is kind of cool how the covers connect. Written by Gail Simone and art by Jim Calafiore. I'm really enjoying this. It is, so dark that all superheroes have become evil by some either magical or science fictional kind of event in this city of Megalopolis. And then some people are coming back to the city to rescue some billionaire. It's a little hard to follow what's what, and there is definitely, like I was complaining about some other comic, like in Doctor Strange and in Daredevil, a feeling of why should I care? But somehow this, at least for now, and I assume it's only a 6-issue series, it makes up for maybe my lack of personal involvement in it with a kind of zany, dark energy that I enjoy. It's done with the right amount of pizzazz. I know I have issue 4 and I can't find it, so I haven't read issue 4 yet. I guess a comic like this, if it were just an ongoing, might get tiresome after a while unless you started to really care about some of the characters. And maybe I would care more, but I don't think so if I'd read the original Kickstarter graphic novel that came before this. I don't think there's a lot of carryover character-wise. Okay, so that is all the comics I read this week. I still have a lot that I meant to read this week that perhaps I will get to soon, including Paper Girls number 6 and Saints number 9. Those were the 2 that I was really psyched for and decided to put off to the end of my reading. And then I still have hanging around from maybe a month ago, X'd number 2. I've been meaning to read that. And I have 3 issues of Omega Men yet to read. I think I started one of these and is probably issue 10. So I have 10, 11, and 12 to read. I think I started reading issue 10 and was it in the middle of like a big war? Right. I just wasn't in the mood to read about war right then. It didn't seem to pick up immediately after issue 9. It seemed to skip some time, and now we've been at war for a while. It just didn't strike my fancy at that moment, and then I let the Omega Men slide. So now I have to gird my loins and read the last 3 issues and see where that goes. Because I loved it for the first 6 issues and told everyone it was a masterpiece. And then when it escaped getting canceled, it started to seem less good to me. But anyhow, there's my garbled comic book thoughts for this week. I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.